everybody. This is Pastor Brady Henderson, the pastor of the First Baptist Church in Gaston, South Carolina, and we are here today for the 42nd episode of the Menorah Podcast. I want to remind you the purpose of the Menorah Podcast is to share the light, speak the light, and send the light of Jesus Christ all across the airwaves of the internet. And today is Thursday, November 21st, and Alan, we are here for episode 42.
Yep. Do you realize we're only 10 episodes away from a full year?
And I'm very excited about that. That'll be a big celebration in February where we celebrate our 1 year. Maybe we need to work on some merch and get some merch going and celebrate that way. And so you can look forward to having a little bit of merch and representing hopefully your favorite podcast. I don't know. Don't hurt our feelings or anything. But no, I really enjoyed having Mike last week and hearing Mike's thoughts on the convention. It's so cool to see it through the eyes of someone who went for the first time, as someone who has been to so many of them. As I told another person that went, I have to be careful in my heart to make sure that they don't all run together.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. And thought it was a really great episode and great time being able to hear Mike's heart. Always good to have Mike on, really special this time.
Yep. Well, it's kind of the same way with us as congregation members listening to your messages. We have to kind of guard ourselves against just getting into a routine, we're still in Mark. We're still Samuel. In Samuel. Yeah. We've said this, we talked about this before. There's always something in a message that's applicable to your life, and really it doesn't have to be the entire message. It can be one little tidbit that comes out of it. So, always guard against the routine, I guess, is a way of saying it.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. So today on the 42nd episode, it might be a little bit shorter, but we're going to we already previewed the preaching plan for next year. Kind of gave you a heads up on all of that. If you haven't seen that episode, you can find that archived on Spotify as well as YouTube. But I want to preview today our discipleship groups. And so we do D groups every semester, fall semester and spring semester. This year we'll do it for 7 weeks in the spring and 8 weeks in the fall. And that's the only time we do things on Sunday nights, and it's at 5 o'clock. This past year, D groups was great. And before we preview this year, because we're doing it totally different this year, Alan, and what I mean by that, we're not making any changes to D groups. What I mean is we are changing the way we've planned D groups. Usually we plan it semester by semester, and we meet a few weeks before, and then we throw it all together. And this year, that was really hard in the fall. I came this close canceling it because we had so much going on with homecoming that about wiped half of us out, including me, with, work and busyness and stuff. And so we decided anyway. I think you were one of the ones that said, let's just go ahead and do it. So we did it, and I'm really glad we did. We had a great semester. So we've had 3 semesters, full semesters of discipleship groups. So, Alan, I know you and I have talked off air. When I first came up with the idea, you were a little hesitant, like, well, I don't know about this, don't know how it's going to work. And now that we're 3 semesters through and we've already got semesters 4 and 5 planned, how do you feel discipleship groups have gone? What do you think the importance of this ministry is in our church, and how have you seen it progress?
Well, first off, I'd like to say that in reflection of your message a couple of weeks ago about tradition, tradition sometimes can be really hard to overcome. And a lot of times I think you will agree that I've often said to you when you run stuff by me that we trust you, we believe that God has given you a vision, and we trust you to verbalize that vision and get us involved. But sometimes we don't really believe that. We say that, we just don't really believe it deep down. So that was the first thing I thought about with D groups is now we've been 3 years without any Sunday night activities. People have gotten used to that. And I think our first D groups really showed that there was something missing in some people's lives, and that they really did like that getting together with a smaller group and having an opportunity to look at something, even if it's just on a short lifetime basis.
Yeah.
Just being able to look at something a little out of the ordinary, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah, closer, more close up. One thing about D groups I think makes it attractive is it's not like Sunday night service in the sense of it's every week and that kind of thing. It's another service to attend. It's not that. It's literally a commitment for 7 or 8 weeks. It's not, and of course you get a break in between. If you do the math, we have D groups 15 or 16 Sundays out of the year. That's less than 25%. So I definitely think it's worked out. I praise the Lord for giving me that vision and how that's worked out. This year we're doing it different. We have already planned. I've already talked with these people and prayed and all these things. We have discussed D groups, and what we've decided to do is we are letting folks know in January, and obviously you're getting a preview by listening to today's episode. But we're letting you know the discipleship groups that are going to be offered each semester so that you can plan accordingly, so that you can pray accordingly. And one reason we're doing this is, for example, when I list out the D groups we're doing here in a minute, you might want to take 2 of them. And you can plan based on which ones are being offered when. You can plan when to take which one, either spring or fall. In other words, the way we've done it before is it's been very blind, right? Like I sign up for a D group, I really want to take hermeneutics, but I don't know if hermeneutics is going to be offered next semester. I don't know if apologetics is going to be offered, so I'm going to go ahead and take it. And so this way, people know what they can take a year before so that they can plan accordingly when they want to take what they want to take. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes perfect sense.
So appreciate our teachers for working with us on this. I know it takes more planning, but that's one thing we want to do this year, and this also will be included in the preaching plan. And another thing that will be included in the preaching plan that's released in January is we will have the church calendar. Church calendar is going to be available. That hasn't happened before. As far as the entire year before, we usually don't do the church calendar till January. As of this podcast episode, church calendar's done. We've met with church leaders, and it's done for 2025. So that's encouraging. For the fall, or for the spring semester, which is this coming spring, D groups are going to start on February 23rd, and they're going to continue through April the 13th with a break on March 23rd. So every Sunday from February 23rd to April 13th, except March 23rd at 5 p.m., we're going to offer 8 D groups. The first one is going to be taught by Lee Sanford, and that one is still to be decided. So he's still kind of praying about some things, what he wants to do. And then the second D group is Baptist History. I'll be doing Baptist History in the spring. And then the third is Pastor Steve is going to do a discipleship group on the kings of Israel. He's going to study the history of the kings of Israel. So that is a very confusing topic, and he's going to tackle that. I'm excited about that. Sherelle Ott is going to be teaching a spiritual gift study that's been done by Kay Arthur. So that'll be really good. Lauren Cantrell, again, will be doing a ladies study. We are going to have apologetics. That's been asked a lot because Charles is going on a mission trip to Asia. And so we still are going to have apologetics. You say, well, who's going to teach it? Dwayne Johnson has stepped up, and he's going to teach that. We are going to have a discipleship group for children. At this time, we don't have teachers committed to doing that. So if you're listening and you'd be interested in teaching the children's D group, we already have the curriculum, but we need folks to teach it, so we'd appreciate that. And then the 8th D group that is going to be offered in the spring is Travis Henderson is doing an adult VBS discipleship group, VBS for adults. And pretty much what that is a training to get, really what he's targeting is he's targeting people that want to serve in VBS but have never done so before. And so he wants to give them a crash course on VBS while still teaching them VBS. Since many of them that didn't grow up in church didn't get to experience VBS, he wants to bring that to them in a discipleship group. So I'm really excited about that. So that's kind of our spring slate. Any questions or comments on the spring?
Well, the thing that comes to mind immediately, of course, is I have taken your Baptist History D group, and I'm not really good with dates and names. I can't remember a lot of dates and names, but I do remember some of the more prominent names, and I really enjoyed that and kind of getting to know where we've been, where we come from, how we got started, and to be able to see some of the things that we kind of take for granted or just always have been in our lifetime, how they got started.
Yeah.
And what really kind of sets us apart. from other denominations.
Yeah, I agree.
So I would put in a plug for that.
Sign up. Sign up when those open up in January. As far as the fall semester, we're going to begin on September the 7th for D groups, September the 7th of 2025. We'll continue through November the 2nd. This is 8 weeks. The spring is only 7, but the fall is 8 weeks, and we will take a break on October the 5th for the chili cook-off. So every Sunday between September the 7th and November the 2nd at 5 p.m., except October the 5th. And so our lineup is similar. There's a few changes in the fall. We won't have Travis's VBS D group in the fall, which would make sense because it's in the fall. That's after VBS. But Lee will be doing another D group in the fall as well. And then I am actually not doing Baptist history in the fall. I'll be doing Crowning Christ, which was a sermon series that I preached here, one of the first ones I ever did here, almost 4 years ago. And that sermon series looked at how we will receive rewards when we get to heaven based on what we've done for Christ with what he's given us. And so that discipleship group is going to study the 5 different crowns that we can receive in heaven. And so I'm excited about that. You know, I would really be interested in having folks come and attend that. Steve Kittrell is going to do Kings of Israel again in the fall. Sherelle Ott is going to be doing Spiritual Gifts by Kay Arthur again in the fall. Lauren Cantrell will be doing a lady study again in the fall. And then Dwayne Johnson will be doing Apologetics again in the fall. And then, of course, the children that will still need teachers for that. So that's kind of the fall slate. It's very similar, just a few minor changes. But I think it's really good that we kind of stay as consistent as we can so that folks can take. We want each D group to at least be offered twice. At least, to give people an opportunity. So, any thoughts or comments on the fall?
Well, yeah, I think that the more information that you can gain is, you know, for me, I am a visual person. So, whenever you tell me something, I picture it in my mind. Mm-hmm. You know, if you give me enough words to describe things, then I can picture that, and I do that in everyday conversation. If you've ever spoken to me or you talk to me about things that are going on, happening in your life, or things that you know of, I just insert myself into that.
Yeah.
It's just the way my mind works. And I see life as a series of snapshots. So I am able to do that. And, I think that by being exposed to various different aspects of discipleship, it just gives you a better foundation. You're able to go back to that in some capacity. I may not can remember dates or names, but I remember some of the stuff about where the Southern Baptist in South Carolina came from. Mm-hmm. And, I don't know, I can't tell you the dates, but I know it's before this time. And I kind of know the progression.
The generalization.
Generalizations, yeah. And I think it's helpful to be able to know stuff like that. Now, I'm sure there are people that's in that class that can say, on December the 12th of 1768, so-and-so did so-and-so.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's not me. And, it's a lot like some of those names in the Bible. So most of us grew up with King James Version, and some of those names are very hard to pronounce.
Oh, yeah.
And those names, I feel like, are in there for historical reference. In other words, that ties an inspired Word of God to things that are tangible in the world at the time.
Yeah.
So that gives us that I guess, that lends a certain authenticity to it.
Yeah.
And so, but I don't think those names are always germane to the text itself.
Yeah.
But they're they're an important part of it, but they're not the spiritual part of it. Yep. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think, the more we know,
gives context.
It gives context.
And that's
context
important.
Is always important.
That's important. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap up today's episode. We have given you a preview of D groups. I hope you will take this, pray about the discipleship groups the Lord might lead you to take, and hopefully The important thing is take one. You need discipleship. Don't ever say that we don't offer discipleship, because we do. Discipleship groups as well as Sunday school. And so thank you so much for tuning in to the Menorah Podcast. It seeks share the light, speak the light, and send the light of Jesus Christ all across the airwaves of the internet. Do want to let you know we will not be having a podcast next Thursday. That is Thanksgiving, which is the 28th of November this year. We want you to enjoy that with your family. Be thankful for many things. We're thankful for you and thankful for all our listeners and thankful for our church. So we will not see you again on the podcast until December the 5th. And so we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you for tuning in.